Welcome to Ask the Expert, a daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. Please do ask any questions in the comments or hashtag QBAT on on Twitter. If you need any more advice, please do join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. There will be accountants and business experts on hand 24/7 to help you out. QuickBooks also have a dedicated COVID-19 information site. Just go on the QuickBooks website, scroll down a little bit and click on the big Learn More button under the header Support for You and Your Business During COVID-19. A little bit about myself. My name is Eriona Bajrakurtaj. I am the Managing Director of Majors Accounts. I am a qualified Chartered Certified Accountant. I have a master's degree in accounting and finance, a master's in law in international banking and finance, and I have recently just completed a postgraduate diploma in financial strategy with the University of Oxford. Safe to say studying was my passion, but I think we're done now. I am also a member of the QuickBooks Accountants Council and a member of the ACCA's UK Practitioner Network panel and the ACCA SME Global Forum. I've been working in practice now for 13 years alongside my studies, which has been great in ensuring that I get the most value, my studies coupled with the experience. So in small practice, which is ideal, you really get to see, the ins and outs of business, how business works, how they function, their pain points, investigating ways of finding solutions for those pain points, or it could be a business that wants to become more profitable. So Majors Accounts, who are we? We're a small accountancy practice based in Southeast London. We provide support for businesses in the SME space, whether they're owner-managed, self-employed, limited companies, in a wide range of industries. To name a few, construction, hospitality, financial services, IT, hairdressers, barbers, nurseries, pubs, bars, restaurants, and the list goes on. So our industries are quite varied. Since becoming the managing director, I have spearheaded and implemented a digitalisation strategy with the goal of becoming a paperless office. I'm proud to say that we're there now. It's taken a couple of years, but we got there. We are a QuickBooks online only practice. The idea is that the idea behind that was to become experts in one package, so we can make sure that we're giving our clients the best out of our software. Everything can now be done online, and we use an array of really amazing technology that feeds into QuickBooks Online via apps and so on, to create an elevated experience, obviously for our client, but also for our team who are now using cutting edge technology, so they get a lot better job satisfaction as well. Now, our clients, we've got clients from Ireland to the Isle of Wight, so they no longer need to take a boat, a plane, a train, whatever it is, to come and see us. So it's great convenience for them and time saving, because now they're just on the other side of the screen, click of a button, almost as if kind of being in the office. And this has been really ideal with the current situation, that we're able to pick up from where we left off from the office. So we've all just carried on working, but possibly 7 days a week now with the current situation, rather than 5. But the idea was to bring the accountant client relationship closer. So we are a family run practice, so treating our clients and team like family is one of our core values, and we believe that helps to build an excellent rapport with the client, to give a more personalized service, coupled with expertise built up from years of our experience, and the idea that technology actually brings us closer, and we become the virtual finance director for our clients. Now, our efforts haven't gone unnoticed. Majors Accounts have been nominated for Independent Firm of the Year for Greater London by the British Accountancy Awards for the last 2 years in a row. I myself have been nominated for Top 50 Women in Accounting, and I am also nominated for 3 awards with the Women in Accounting and Finance 2020. which will take place later this year now, well, hopefully, depending on what happens with this current situation. COVID-19 obviously has brought great distress from everyone worldwide with health, but also businesses have been affected massively. Many have had to close, so if they've closed, they're not generating income. No one really knows what's happening and how long this will last. And many businesses have not planned effectively for this. I mean, how can you predict for a global pandemic, right? But businesses do not have the adequate cash reserves to continue trading. Many don't know if they're going to have a business to go back to, which is a super scary thought. And obviously the UK economy has been hit massively by this. In this time, businesses have had to think of ways of pivoting their business to kind of find new offerings so they can keep on trading. There are a number of reliefs, government reliefs out there, some of which being, so businesses that have premises, they've obviously got a lot of expenses, but no money coming in. So the government has introduced grants available to them. There are two types of grants, one of which the business can get £25,000 grant from the government or from the council, or £10,000. Now those getting 25 are those that are in the hospitality sector, but the catch is you have to qualify for the small business rates relief scheme. If you don't qualify for either grant, unfortunately. But one thing to note, that it is a grant, you don't need to pay it back. So there has been some confusion whether this is actually a loan or not. There's also obviously the coronavirus business interruption loans, interest-free loans, 80% backed by the government. The idea is with that is that the banks can provide these a lot quicker or easier. Hasn't necessarily been what's happening. We're seeing, I read somewhere, 2.6% of applications are actually being authorised and being handed out, so it's not ideal. There are quite a few others, but we're going to head to questions now. Hopefully we'll explain some of those in the questions. Someone had said, how long can I claim money for furloughing my employees? Is it between a specific time frame? I haven't had to do it yet, but we keep trading less and less. I will have to look at these options soon. So the government scheme allows for furloughing employees from the date that you've had to furlough them up until the end of June. So it was extended recently by the Chancellor. What does furloughing mean? I know there are a lot of questions with this as well. Furloughing is, you're trading or you're not anymore, so you can't afford to keep your staff, so you have to send them home. But if you have a great workforce and you're worried about whether you're going to have them when you come back, when everything goes back to normal or not, you can furlough them. So you say, I'm not sacking you, I'm not letting you go, but I can't pay you the full wage. So they will get 80% of their salary from the government. And you can apply online. The portal opened on Monday this week and they had a huge influx. It crashed a few times, but generally it seems to be going quite well. But you can claim 80% from the date that you have had to send them home up until the end of June. We have a question from Casa on Twitter. How long can I claim money for furloughing my employees? Oh, sorry, that's the same one. Molly from Facebook Messenger. I'm the sole owner of a small business. I've just received £10,000 into my bank account after applying through my local council. I can't seem to find any info about how and when we repay the grant. When will I have to do that? So the idea of a grant is you don't have to repay it, you keep it, that's your money. It's not a loan. And I know that's a question that many people have been asking, and they're worried about whether they're going to have to pay this back. You don't. That's yours to keep in order to help to pay rent or any other expenses that the business may have. So I guess that's some good news amongst all this. Then we've got another question from Carl on Twitter. We have been approved for the CBILS scheme over 2 weeks ago, but haven't received the money. How long will it take? We're with HSBC and I thought it would go pretty quick. I mean, congratulations on being approved. Not many businesses have been. In terms of how long it will take, I mean, this is something that's new. No one really knows what's going on, and the banks have had the exact same situation. You know, they've had a huge influx. trying to deal with all these applications. So I wouldn't foresee the money to be withheld that much longer. But again, this is something that's so new. So I would say probably wait another week or so and just give them a call to see where they are. But do appreciate they are also, really busy at the moment. We've got another question from Sylvia from Facebook. She says, how do I work out how much to pay myself? My business is starting to make money and my outgoings are reasonably low for now. Is there a magic formula? I don't feel I can afford an accountant just yet, and business is going well because of COVID-19, and I want to wait and see how I trade when all this is over. I'm a sole trader. What I would suggest with any businesses that are trading, we don't know what the future will look like in the next week or two, let alone in the next couple of months, or how long this is going to go on for. So I think if you can, pay yourself the bare minimum to cover your costs, just so your business has enough cash reserves to keep going. In terms of affording an accountant, there are so many accountants out there, including on the Facebook community with Intuit, that will provide you with some free advice and guidance, just in case you might be doing something that you don't realize you should be, or there may be ways of you maximizing on what you are doing. So I think some advice from an accountant would be a really good idea. But yeah, I would say the bare minimum for now. There is no magic formula because no one knows how long this is going to go on for, but try the bare minimum for your own expenses. We have another message from Romeo from Twitter. Says, I'm a very new entrepreneur trying to run my business, and the finance part is all a bit confusing. I've been reading in different communities that some people don't recommend paying yourself dividend is tax effective, but in this pandemic, it's not the best option. What's your opinion on this? Obviously, in a normal world, paying yourself a dividend is the most tax effective way of structuring your business. It depends if you're a limited company or if you're self-employed, but obviously if you're a limited company, then you'll have a split between wages on payroll and a dividend. In this pandemic, the only reason this would be kind of affect what you're getting is if you're trying to claim for the coronavirus job retention scheme. But if you are a very new entrepreneur, you would only be eligible for the wages from the government anyway if you had a payroll scheme set up, and you were running this before February of this year, which had to be submitted by the 19th of March. So if you haven't done that, you won't get anything from the job retention scheme. But it depends if you're self-employed, what were you doing previously. You won't get much help from the self-employed grants that will be coming in the next few months, which they've said the portal may open up in May for payments to come out in June for 3 months worth of an average salary of up to a maximum of £2,500 for self-employed people. So, I mean, it really depends on what you've been doing up until now and whether that will affect you or not. A dividend, I would say, even if you were to take it, again, take only what you need and not any more than that you need to give your business a chance to survive. We have another message here from Stefan from Facebook. He says, I've had 2 properties in retail in different countries. I have secured a COVID-19 business grant for the first property, but have been declined for the second because the first one has been processed. Does this mean that my business with multiple properties can get only 1 grant? In the UK, I'm not sure about different countries. So if you've got properties in different countries, each country will have their own schemes. But with the UK, if you do have more than 1 property, you can claim 1 grant per property, regardless of which areas your business or your properties will be in. So I've had clients that have had premises like 2 or 3 in 1 borough. They can claim 2 or 3 grants just because they are all in the same or each business has its own grant that is available to it. So you should be able to get one for each business. We have Jamie from Twitter. Says, I've been looking into the business rate grant and my local office has refused to pay because the records have not been updated. Is there anything I can do? I've actually had a client with the same issue. So they've been paying rent to the council and business rates to the council directly. So there is no kind of landlord in between. And for some reason, the rent department in the council and the business rates have not spoken to each other, and for some reason they don't have an account set up, so they've been told they won't get anything. But I do know that you can apply to get that rectified. It will take some time to get your name on the system. You'll have to provide proof that you have been paying, and you should be able to claim the grant even if it is a little bit later. Councils right now are saying that they're paying roughly a week or so after the grant has been applied for, but definitely worth making sure that you get everything in order first and then apply for the grant. I mean, I've had situations where a client has had their business rates account in their own name, and they have set up a business possibly with their partner, but the business is only in their partner's name. So when they go to apply, the two don't correspond, and the council says, well, hold on, who am I paying this to? Because you're registered with me, I don't know who the other business is. So it's worth getting all of this in order first and then requesting the grant. You should be able to get it still. Pippa from, sorry, one second. Pippa from Facebook Messenger says, I'm looking at setting up a small online business, but my suppliers are asking for VAT number and registration number. I'm not sure if and when the new business will begin to take off. Any advice around that? So it depends how you want to set up, first of all. With regards to the registration number that you've mentioned, whether that could be a company number, you don't necessarily have to set up your business as a company initially. In terms of VAT number, it depends where you're purchasing your supplies. If they are abroad, they will request a VAT number because at customs they will need to register supplies that are the goods that are coming into the UK. But if it is a UK based supplier, then it shouldn't be an issue. You just explain to them it's a new business. We haven't registered for VAT yet, but you can kind of gauge what kind of quotes and things you can get or possibly purchase from them as well. But you don't necessarily have to have a VAT number in order to purchase. On some of them, they do say put your VAT number, because if you are VAT registered, you can claim some of that back. But if not, you should be able to leave that blank, but discuss that with them. We have another question from Kobe from Twitter. How will job retention scheme impact my PAYE tax? So the job retention scheme at the moment is a huge hot topic. I think there were some stats out a few days ago. Well, it hasn't even been a week yet since it's been opened, the portal, but in the first few days, over 282,000 people applied to furlough. And since then, HMRC have come out with all sorts of new guidance just to kind of help out. But each time there's new guidance, it seems to confuse people even more. So one thing that I would say, make sure that you have retained all calculations of how you have kind of set up the furlough. In terms of kind of applying it, the application is 10 15 minutes. It's not difficult, but the most important thing is what information you put within that tool. HMRC, I'm sure after this, will be doing investigations to make sure that you've claimed what you're due to be claimed and not overclaiming. But in terms of how it will impact the PAYE, you will have to pay your employees the money that you get from the grant net of tax and NI. Obviously, if you can afford to pay the extra 20% to your employees, you go ahead, but do realise you will have to pay the tax and NI on top of that anyway. Whereas with the 80%, obviously you can claim the employer's NI and the employer's pension. So that's something to also think about. In terms of also kind of making sure, I think one of the biggest things that I've said to everybody is retain those calculations, because you know, HMRC is not going to take lightly. At the moment, they're all in a bit of a mess and they're just going to pay out whatever you claim. There have been issues with the calculator online. It's spurting out incorrect numbers. So what we've been doing as a firm is we've been calculating everything manually and saving that for each client. So whatever happens, we've got a logical step-by-step process. You can see exactly what's being claimed. So it's transparent. So if HMRC are to come, they can understand that, you know, the calculations have been done to the best of our ability, taking the guidance that is on the HMRC website. Okay, we've got another question. Laura from Twitter. I've made one claim now from HMRC, but wondering when I can make the next claim. So in terms of when you can make the next claim, as long as the next claim you make doesn't overlap what you've already submitted, it should be fine. You can go ahead. They have said that you can apply for 3 weeks in advance as well as the next pay, if you know what the pay would have been usually anyway. So that will help with some cash flow. But please do take into consideration that it takes at least 6 working days for that money to come through. And there have been quite a few phone calls, scams going around, something to be aware of. If someone does call you to confirm the details, it's quite difficult to kind of understand whether that's actually HMRC or whether it's one of these scamsters. Maybe when they call you, ask for more information to make sure that you definitely are speaking to HMRC, because you don't want someone to take any bank details from you fraudulently. So we've got another question from Jen from Facebook Messenger. As a small limited company based at home, I don't qualify for any grants, so I've been trying to get the coronavirus business interruption loan to cover overheads during the restrictions. I've hit a few issues. My own bank won't lend anything less than 25,000. I don't need that much, and I wouldn't get that based on my turnover. A broker searching for the loan scheme advised that many banks won't look at my business for a loan as they want a minimum turnover of 100,000. This is another nail in the coffin for small businesses. Those that are based at home do so because they are small family, individually owned businesses. This is the coronavirus business interruption loan scheme has really been a bit hit and miss, I have to say, with the majority being rejected at the first hurdle, and that will usually be because they don't have all the adequate information, and if not everything is there, you'll get a straight rejection. You won't even be considered for the next stage. So I think when trying to search for these loans, make sure you must have your latest accounts up to date. You need management accounts up to date and complete as well. You need to have a really good business case to put forward to the lenders to say, this is the reason why I need it. It's just to cover my current expenses. Even if you do get £25,000, which you may not need now, if they are willing to lend that, I would say take it for now. It's interest free. You don't have to spend it, and you can pay it back, within that 12 months, pay it back with no interest whatsoever. So if you're able to speak to an accountant or a broker that is able to put a good business plan and business case together for you, then I would definitely do so. There is also, there were 40 institutions on the initial panel, and one of the restrictions you had is that you could only go to your own bank account in order to take the loan. So now, as more lenders are being added, you can now shop around because they're institutions that you don't necessarily bank with. So I would definitely have a look, shop around, get someone like an accountant or a broker to make sure that you've got all paperwork intact, in place, ready to give yourself the best possible chance. We've got Tatiana from YouTube. She says, if the furloughed employee will be asked by the employer to work just 3 days a month, how will they be going to get paid? So if the employee is still working, however little, they can't be furloughed. They do not fall into that scheme. In order to be able to claim with that scheme, you have to make sure that you have told your employees, that's it, you're not working at all for me, and I'll get 80% of your wages from the government. So if they work 3 days, unfortunately, all they will be able to qualify for is the 3 days of pay, which you will have to compensate out of your own pocket for them. So we've got another question from Amy from Twitter. She says, my business is registered with the Companies House from September 2019. Unfortunately, I'm not registered with the council. I called the council business rate. They said, who registered with the council until the 11th of March can get grants. What can I do now to get a grant? I mean, if you have been advised from the council that that is the case, I haven't heard that they had to be registered by the 11th of March, but if it depends, have you been paying business rates up until now? If you have, then you do qualify. If you haven't paid any business rates on your premises, then unfortunately you won't qualify for any grants, which is not great, but what can you do at the moment? We've got another message from Linda from Facebook Messenger. She says, hi, huge QuickBooks fan here. Great, me too. What are we putting the 10k grants through as? So the grants will be treated as other income. So they're not loans or anything like that, so please don't put them through as loans, but they will have to go through as other income. We've got another question from Rebecca from Twitter. What are the qualifications to receive a grant? So it depends on which kind of grant you mean here. So as we've discussed previously, if it is a small business rates grant, then making sure that you were part of the small business the small business rates relief scheme, and you have to have been paying something at least to the council in order to qualify for that. If it's grants for the self-employed, which will come out next month or so with the portal opening, you have to have submitted your 18-19 tax return at the very least, which you had to do by the 23rd of this month. And what HMRC will do is look at the last 3 years worth of tax returns. If you have 3 years worth, they will get an average of what you have declared and pay you up to a maximum of £2,500 per month for 3 months worth in June. But there will be a portal for that, HMRC have said, where you can apply, put your information through, and they will pay you. And last question, unfortunately for today, from Twitter. What is your work setup for your employees? We've actually all carried on working from home, so it's almost as if nothing has changed. All telephone systems, working systems, everything is online, so we've carried on working as usual. So, you know, apart from the fact that we're working even longer hours to make sure that we can claim all the right amounts for our clients, and being there for the phone calls and the queries, because obviously everyone is so worried at the moment with what's going on naturally, so they want as much information as they can get, but other than that, yeah, carrying on as usual. Unfortunately, that is it from me today. I just want to kind of say thank you so much for everyone for joining me. So if you want to contact me, please do contact me directly by email, info@majorsaccounts.com. Keep an eye out on our website under the news section. We've got information coming out on a daily basis as and when the government announced it. You can also contact us through our social media presence, so on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And we've also got our very own app with a dedicated COVID-19 section on it, which you can find the links to on our website under Services Majors Accounts app. Please do download it and stay up to date. So coming up on Ask the Expert is Judith, who is on at 8:30 on Monday morning. She's a chartered accountant who also specialises in cloud accounting. A reminder that if you need any more advice, please do join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business business experts are on hand 24/7. Again, if you need anything, please do get into contact. But other than that, please have a great day today and a great weekend. Thank you so much.